When you think about indie games, what comes through your mind? Some people will say Hollow Knight or Celeste, but I'm thinking about a crying baby simulator. It's Isaac. It's The Binding of Isaac, and that game shaped the view that people had of roguelikes. At first, the game looks unappealing, even gross is what some people would say, but this is a special touch coming from a very creative mind. And some people would probably recognize it because of its art style, and the genius behind all of that is Edmund Macmillan, a pretty well-known figure when it comes to indie games, and Florian Hemsel, a longtime companion of Edmund who programmed many of his projects. The game was created in some very special conditions. Following the release of the enormously popular Super Meat Boy, Edmund was on vacation right after its release. So he started working on a small game, and since Tommy Raffenas, who was behind Super Meat Boy's code, was also on vacation, Edmund asked Florian if he could do the coding of this game, and what turned into a small game whose purpose was only for Edmund to create something creative in his fashion, becoming in the process a pretty decently big roguelike. Edmund didn't really care if it was going to be a successful game and therefore was designed to fail. If you want more details about the backstory of this game, I recommend watching that guy Glenn's video. It explained this game's backstory pretty well. And if you want more details about how it was like to work on this game, I recommend watching Florian's video on the game. Now let's see how your first run will look like. After watching the intro and being a bit confused, you start the run playing as Isaac, since every character is locked. In each floor you get an item that helps you progress through the game, and you also have a variety of special rooms. They affect your gameplay on what you may or may not get. You also notice that after killing a boss you get a devil deal, and in order to get the devil deal you must not take a hit with your red hearts. That's why you have soul hearts that protects your deal, which offers items in exchange of heart containers. And if you skip the deal with the devil, you have a chance to spawn an angel deal, which also offers free items, and basically your only goal is to kill Mom. And after killing Mom, you'll either be like, hey, wow, this game's pretty fun and wacky, or B, wow, this is a weird game for weirdos. And both of them would be correct. The first experience is a mix of wackiness and weirdness. You could technically end your experience after beating Mom, but you just unlocked the womb, so you must see what's inside the womb. That's weird. And after killing Mom's heart, you unlock a new item. You must see what that item is. And by that point, I think we all get that this is a super addicting, replayable, and randomly generated roguelike with rooms that are mapped by hand, with random items and other cool stuff. The more you play, the more content you get, the more harder it gets. And if I start talking about difficulty, I'll start crying because this game is very hard. And it's all because of one update, or I should say DLC, Wrath of the Lamb. This expansion adds 98 plus items in an already packed game with 100 items, and introduces us to challenges and, more importantly, Eternal Mode. I'll talk about Wrath of the Lamb a bit later. Since it is very replayable, I can safely say the fun is infinite. But here is an issue when I got to play this game. The item progression is absolute garbage. Most of the unlocks you get are absolute doo-doo. They're just bad items, and therefore it makes the game harder. But yeah, The Binding of Isaac is a pretty fun experience. Sure, it's a bit hard and janky because of Flash, but damn, taking risks and figuring out things makes it absolute pure fun. It's super rewarding when you do so, but of course, it can backfire in very horrible ways. And with all of that said, we have a weird game about a crying baby going down the basement with a very replayable gameplay and fun enemies and bosses to beat. Not all of them. With a weird aesthetic sprinkled around religion. And talking about religion, this game is packed with a story. The Binding of Isaac's theme is heavily influenced by Christianity when it comes to its religious themes. A mother so devoted to God that she hears voices from above that tell her to kill her son. A story that's already inspired from the Bible. Edmund is projecting himself through Isaac, being a creative kid in a very Christian household. I myself find this kinda relatable. The Binding of Isaac's lore is represented through those little endings depending on what you did during the run or what boss have you killed at the end. It's usually a crude ending with Isaac interacting with the item and using it in a unexpected way. That's only if you kill Mom's heart though. The other endings show us another side of the story, like for example, Isaac seeing himself as the devil as he feels like he's corrupted and must fight that evil side of him, and locking himself in the chest. The lore is purposely vague and kinda hidden to make the player make his own version of the story, and that is what Edmund wants to encourage through this game's story. creativity. And with Wrath of the Lamb in the corner, let's talk about it. Released in 2012 and stayed up to date until 2015, the game got many bug fixes, but also brought many bugs into the table that somehow are still not patched. Like, I don't know what the fuck is up with the bugs, but I found myself losing an item when rerolling with the D6. I don't know why, but it just makes it disappear sometimes, which is extremely frustrating. And talking about frustrating things, Wrath of the Lamb introduces us to Eternal Mode, which is basically hard mode in general. You have a chance to get an eternal enemy or boss and it will make their pattern harder. You can easily notice them by their bright white shade. And some of these eternal enemies are really not well designed, especially in some tight rooms where you end up taking a lot of unfair hits, and some of the rooms themselves are so tight that you will have to take damage at some point. That's just fucking bullshit. The enemy's AI is absolutely horrendous and they end up cornering you most of the fucking time. It's actually mind-blowing. Some of these room designs combined with those eternal enemies makes the game so fucking unforgiving. Fuck this game. Fuck this game. Fuck this game. Despite all that jank, since it's literally made in Flash, Wrath of the Lamb has brought a lot of items in the table which later alter your run in some very wacky ways. One day I got Epic Hack and I got a deal that had Brimstone. I was like, oh nice, I will do a shit ton of damage. And the realization comes when it takes ages to fire a laser that doesn't even do that much damage. So fucking disappointing. Flash Isaac doesn't have a lot of synergies, while Repentant has a fucking million possibilities when it comes to synergies. I don't know why the fuck the item pools are not very well balanced. Like I said, I know it's good in Rebirth, but hear me out. You need to charge the fucking laser just to fire for a millisecond, and then it just goes like fucking hell. But the most important addition would probably the Cathedral and the chest, who feature 2 new final bosses. Those are great, I like them a lot. But at the end of the day, The Binding of Isaac is a great game where you need to play skillfully in order to strategize and have luck on your side, which is not always an easy task, but extremely rewarding in the end. And for that, I say that The Binding of Isaac, including Wrath of the Lamb, is a top tier game and is truly a masterpiece for its time. I know I didn't talk about this yet, but the soundtrack, which was made by Danny Baranowski, is an absolute banger. It captures exactly that weirdness and obscureness of most Edmund's games. My favorite OST from this game would probably either be Sacrificial, Respite, or Serenity. And in conclusion, this game holds a very special place in my heart. I remember playing the demo version on Newgrounds because I didn't have the cash to buy the game yet, but when I did get to play it, I was blown away by everything this game had to offer. I did come back to it recently, and that is why I wanted to make a video about this game in the first place. So yeah, go give it a try if you have $5 in your pocket. Thank you Edmund and Florian for making this game that shaped my creativity in ways that made my art what it is today. Genuinely, thank you guys. And with all of that said about my favorite game, see you in 7 months.